All right, just wrapped up a really good deadlift day today. It was an absolute great day for the deadlift today. Again, being patient, being conservative, but overall very pleased with today. It was the first time in a little while that I was able to get over 600 pounds in my hands again, and it moved really, really well, so I was very pleased with that. Obviously, I had to hold myself back. I stayed contained. My mind was like, let's jump. But I said, the way that felt, the way it moved, and where I'm at in this strength training cycle, I just wanted to be patient, I wanted to be smart, I wanted to be conservative. So I kind of just called it quits after that. But the way that felt today was really, really nice, and I was very pleased with how everything moved. Like I said, it's been a little while since I've gotten anything over 600 pounds in my hands, so I was very happy with that. And then, of course, went into some other lifts. And what you'll see in today's workout, I really want to kind of emphasize today's workout for anybody out there that is looking to increase their deadlift. When we talk about the deadlift, there's a couple things I want to say when we talk about deadlift. And number one, in my eyes, the deadlift is the king of overall strength, by far. There's a lot of debate out there about, the squat compared to the deadlift when we talk about kind of overall strength. But in my eyes, you can't beat the deadlift. It is just something that I think is just the king of strength. Never mind, training deadlift, but also just everyday life, right? The deadlift just becomes so important in adapting to everyday life. Whether you need to pick something up and move something around, your buddy calls you and wants you to move a couch. There's just so many different things. The deadlift becomes so beneficial. But overall, I truly believe that the deadlift is the king of overall strength, and definitely is no comparison to the squat. So deadlift is definitely an amazing lift, and I love deadlifting. It's definitely one of my stronger lifts, so there might be a little biasy there. But overall, I truly believe that the true test of strength is definitely measured with the deadlift. With that being said, let's talk a little bit about the deadlift. Like I said, if you guys are out there, anybody out there that wants to increase their deadlift, and to be honest, increase all lifts. The deadlift will help you everywhere else as well. If you're strong at the deadlift, you're going to be strong at the squat, you're going to be strong at the bench, you're going to be strong in many different areas. Your back gets stronger. Just so many different things can benefit from the deadlift. So let's talk about the deadlift. When you look at today's workout, for anybody out there that's looking to strengthen their deadlift, take a look at this workout. It was definitely a deadlift dominant accessory type of workout for sure. Obviously, worked up to a relatively heavy weight for a top set of just one rep in deadlifts, and then moved over into some accessory exercises that would really benefit the top end strength of your deadlift. So after deadlift, we moved into some good mornings. I cannot stress enough how important good mornings are. Today I used somewhat of a wider stance. Obviously, you'll see that I was bringing the weight down on the safety bars of the rack. It wasn't the deepest good morning, but that wasn't the point. The point was to really focus on squeezing, staying tight at the bottom of the lift, and exploding out of that in the sense of representing the lockout of the deadlift. When you get that bar to a certain point, wherever, based on your leverages, but when you get that bar to a certain point off the ground, maybe it's a little below the knee, maybe it's a little above the knee, depending on your leverages, it's all about hips and snapping and locking out. And you have to push yourself in those accessory exercises to really emphasize your lockout strength. Now, of course, if you're a lot weaker off the floor, there's many different things you can do for that as well. Number one being deficit deadlifts. Those are amazing exercise to help with your coming off the floor, the bottom of the lift. But a lot of people, struggle with a lockout. They can get it to, their knee, they can get it, above their knee, and then they kind of let it sit there, and then they, it becomes, a strength thing. It really becomes your hips being able to push through that weight and making sure they have strong hips and you have a strong lockout. And so it's important that you do accessory exercises that really benefit the lockout. And so when I was doing good mornings today, although it wasn't the deepest good morning, the whole point of that movement was to focus on my hips, focus on the lockout. I used a wider stance today just to kind of, as far as flexibility in the hips, making sure I was hitting muscles that maybe, were a little bit weaker. So using a wider stance, I'm hitting part of the hips that might be a little weaker. But the overall goal with the good mornings is to ensure that I'm working on and focusing on, I'm imagining me locking out weight. So when I come up to the top and I really kind of hit the top of the lift of a good morning, I'm really focused and thinking about a lockout and a deadlift. So good mornings are absolutely amazing. I will definitely switch variations, obviously go a lot deeper. My feet will be different variations as far as where my stance is, whether it's a wide stance, narrow stance, kind of a moderate stance. So I'll definitely switch that up. And then of course I'll switch it up what I'm using as far as weights. Barbells, I mean, you can use bands, I've used a dip belt with plates wrapped around it, around my neck. There's just so many different variations. You can attach bands to the barbell, attach chains to the barbell. So you're constantly switching things up to really focus on that lower back strength and your lockout. So good mornings are a great addition if you're looking to increase your deadlift. Also, good mornings become somewhat of a max effort lift too, to help both your deadlift and your squat. So again, good mornings are just an essential part of the workout. So you see good mornings in this workout. From there, I moved over into some Zeecher squats. Same thing. You'll see that the Zeecher squats were set up on safety racks in the half power rack. It was a higher movement, so I wasn't deep. I'm definitely, you won't see me do Zeecher's movement off the floor. That's just not going to happen for me. So you'll see me doing a lot of Zeecher squats off of a power rack, and I'll adjust the safeties for range of motion. So today was a higher range of motion. Again, I'm still adapting to the strength training routine, but at the same time, the goal is making sure that I'm working on my lockout strength when I do that. The leverage is way different. Obviously, the weight's pulling me forward, so I'm fighting gravity there, but at the same time, I'm able to get my hips through at the top of the lift and really snap at the top of the lift, which again, focuses a lot on my lockout strength for my deadlift. So from good mornings to the Zeecher squats off the power rack, right into Romanian deadlifts with a barbell. These will be very important down the road. Today I use relatively lightweight with 225, but I will be really pushing the Romanian deadlift as time goes on. I'll be really increasing the weight. It's a huge carryover for the deadlift. It's so important. And then of course it's so great to keep your hamstrings, your glutes, and all that strong. And Romanian deadlifts will do that for you. But overall, I will push Romanian deadlifts. I'll really try to push myself heavy with Romanian deadlifts because the carryover for the deadlift is just so important. After that, we did some core work. You'll see that in the video, some different core work. Again, I'm still adapting to that. As you know, in No Days Off, I did very little core work, but it's essential that when building strength, you build a strong core. So overall, a great day. The other thing I want to talk about quick too is you'll see today is a Sumo setup for deadlift. And I get questions from time to time. And I know there's a lot of controversy out there about the Sumo deadlift. I am definitely a dominant conventional deadlifter. I always have been. And it took me a long time to get my Sumo style deadlift to catch up to my conventional. But here's the point I'm trying to make. I try to keep my conventional and Sumo deadlifts somewhat equal, although my conventional deadlifts sometimes will take the lead a little bit as far as how much weight I can move, but I try my best, and it goes back and forth. Sometimes my Sumo just feels really good and I can do a little more Sumo, but the whole point is I try to keep them as equal as possible. So I'm constantly changing that up as a variation. And depending on how I feel and how my hips feel and how my back feels will all kind of depend on what variation I'm doing. But today was kind of a Sumo style. I've said in a comment before, I've gotten questions, my Sumo style is somewhat what I would call a hybrid. I am so lower back dominant in my deadlifting. It's just a part of my leverage, a part of my strength. I've worked on, trying to, fix that a little bit, sitting a lot, deeper before starting the deadlift, trying not to round my back as much. But I just found out over time, I just have my back is just a stronger part of me, and I'm back dominant. So what you'll see a lot of times in my Sumo, even in my Sumo stance, is that I have somewhat of a hybrid. I'll start fairly low, my hips will pop up. Of course, that means some weak hips, but my hips have always been weak. And you'll see my hips pop up, and I'll kind of gravitate towards my lower back to help with the movement. But either way, it works for me. It just feels well. Sometimes it doesn't look the prettiest, and we've seen. I'm sure you've seen many videos out there with kind of somebody in a sumo stance, their back pops up, or someone uses a lot of back. I'm just a back dominant deadlifter, and that's just how it always has been. But I like to switch up the variations between both a sumo and a conventional deadlift, and I think it's important that if you're looking for strength, that you're constantly utilizing the variations of a sumo and a conventional deadlift. The sumo deadlift and of course your regular deadlift, but more or less depending on your stance in a squat, I'm somewhat of a wide stance squatter. So sumo deadlift also has a huge carryover for me in my squat. So I like to keep that in the routine, and I like to keep it circulating through the variations as much as possible. And today was again somewhat of a sumo variation for deadlift. So there's another little talking point that I wanted to talk about. And then the last thing I just wanted to hit real quick was, again, I always want to bring this channel back to what we're all about, right? So number one, we're about the love and passion to train. Number two, we're about bringing back that hardcore old school style of free weights, plates, barbells, and dumbbells. And as you will look and as you will see, even through this stronger by the day strength training cycle, you're going to see the emphasis of barbells, plates, and dumbbells. And it's just a part of what this is all about. We're going to stay true to this channel, remain in that realm of the hardcore old school style of bringing back the basic foundational lifts. Again, you cannot beat free weights when it comes to building both strength, when it comes to training, when it comes to building a solid foundation. You have to use free weights. You gotta use them. Especially if you're a beginner, and especially if you're a natural lifter. You gotta use free weights to build that strong foundation. And that could be whether you're bodybuilding, powerlifting, doing CrossFit, whatever. Even if you're a marathon runner, using free weights can benefit you in so many ways. So again, I want to keep that talk alive. I want to keep that mission alive. So I want to definitely make sure that we constantly bring that up, because this channel is really about that. When we talk about the love and passion, we're talking about getting away from the so-called influencing channels out there, the so-called pro bodybuilders, the glamorization of all the stuff out there. You guys heard me say it time and time again. This channel is not about glamorizing. It's not about fancy gyms. It's not about selling a product. It's not about some promotional code that I want to put at the end of the video because I want you to buy something. It's not about scams. This is raw, hardcore training, and this is what we're all about. We need to bring that back. We need to bring back the true love and passion without any strings attached to it. As I said before, there are probably millions of people out there who have a true love and passion to train, but it's completely shadowed once marketing comes into play, once advertising, once you're trying to sell a product. It just gets shadowed. The love and passion seems to be gone. And again, it's just something that's just constantly being pushed in our faces, is some sale, some code, some marketing scam, advertising, and then, you know, the so-called Hollywood style of training. It's disgusting, to be honest. So again, I just want to keep bringing that up because I want to remind us all that although we're in this new training cycle for strength, the philosophy of this channel aren't going anywhere, and it's just we need to keep pushing that message because it's pretty disgusting what's out there in social media these days. It's embarrassing to training. Some of it, to be honest, is literally embarrassing to what we're all about. It's an embarrassment. It's the acts, just the crazy stuff. It's just embarrassing. So anyway, I'm gonna stop rambling. Check out this deadlift workout. You're really gonna like it, and we'll see you guys for the next lift.
Ooh, come on, 5 more.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes.